Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to this book launch this evening. I understand that there's a tube strike tonight, which is why I don't think everybody's arrived yet. But hopefully people will come in and they'll be quiet when they arrive. So it's a great evening. This is the book launch of the English language translation of Laura's 15 Letters to Petrach by Leyla Begim Jafarova, who is here. Leyla is a member of the UK Poetry Society, hence the hosting in this venue. She's a recipient of the Azerbaijani Qizil Qelem, that's the Golden Pen and Araz Awards, and she lives in Prague, and she's one of the foremost living Azerbaijani lyric poets. Her first collection was published in 2010, and she has presented her work in many countries, including Russia, Israel and Brussels, in addition to her native Baku and her adopted home city of Prague. This is her third collection of poems, and it's been inspired by the 14th century Renaissance figure of Petrach, who is one of the earliest humanists and tourists who also visited Prague, and many of his works were set to music as madrigals. So in 1327, Petrach noticed a woman named Laura in the Church of Sainte-Claire d'Avignon. It was thought that she was Laura de Noves, the wife of Hugues, Count Hugues de Sade. Over the following 21 years, he channeled his emotions into 366 sonnets, known as the Il Canzoniere, that's the songbook. Petrach was inconsolable on her death, and when her tomb was found in 1533, it was alleged that one of the sonnets was found in her casket. So Leyla has imagined herself as Laura and written 15 sonnets in response to Petrach. So the book will be available after the event for just £15, that's £1 for each sonnet. And as an added bonus, it contains Leyla's play Amolatio, that's the act of sacrifice, which she wrote with Efren Abramov, which bring together two enlightened thinkers, both of whom were born in 1369. That's the Azerbaijani Nasimi and the Czech theologian Jan Hus. And it's hoped this will soon be staged at the Teatro Technis in Camden. Also, tomorrow is UN World Refugee Day, and Leyla is going to read part of her Weeping for Karabakh collection in remembrance of the estimated 1 million internally displaced Azerbaijanis who are the victims of the unresolved Armenian occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh and the 7 surrounding regions. Please stay after the event where you can enjoy wine, snacks, discuss the poems, maybe buy books. And now I'd like to hand the floor to the readers Denise Salah and Leyla Novruzova.
Laura woke up, but she didn't want to open her eyes immediately. She wanted to enjoy the magic moment, when in a half-sleep, before complete awakening of her body and brain, pleasantly confused, she asked herself, where am I? Is she in London, in the little lovely bedroom, with the light squeezing itself through the wooden window shields? Or has she crossed the ocean to open her eyes in a very similar apartment, but in different part of the road, to see the raindrops on the windows and cars coming down the hill behind the trees, creating the image of driving down from the clouds? Or is she in Avignon? Here, her thoughts were getting stuck. She has never been to Avignon. What a funny thought. She saw the images of this nice French city on the Rhone River when planning vacation in France, but never made it there. Probably she shall go one day with Frank. Regardless of where she would open her eyes, she was happy. Frank was snoring loudly next to her, and the sound of his snore and breath amusingly made her feel secure and at home. She opened her eyes to sunny early morning. It was raining all the night, but now the morning was perfectly bright. She smiled to herself, embraced herself under the blanket, and then moved closer to Frank to press her body against him, sleeping on his left side. As always, there was physical warmth coming from his body, giving the feeling of proximity to the fireplace. She was joking about him possibly being a shapeshifter from a wolf, as Jacob Black in Twilight Saga, as his body temperature was above normal. And he always was seriously explaining that his temperature was normal and it was his energy which radiated this warmth. She put her palm on his belly where a large scar was making his skin tight, and he had put his hand over hers reflexively, still in deep sleep. Like spoons in the box, she remembered reading this in one of the novels. Spooning was her favorite thing, or one of many favorite things in their closeness. She knew that she needs to get up. Today was her birthday, and there were few things she needed to take care of before others wake up. After taking a shower and making herself a cup of coffee, she opened the windows to let the morning air to freshen the room. The boys, Theo, her only son, and Frank's two sons, Devon and Stan, were sleeping in the bedrooms downstairs. She was trying to be very quiet, not to wake them up. She heard them playing video games half of the night. She liked the quiet morning hours when she could plan the day, but today her thoughts were taking her far away from the planning of daily routine. She was feeling endless tender towards the man she just left in bed, unconditional love to Theo, and warm connection with other two boys. And above all this, feeling like a large colorful rainbow, she felt gratitude to some invisible power running the universe for her today, for their today. For some reason, the day when Theo was born stood clear in front of her eyes. His first cry, first unconscious smile, first handshake. Her love to him was so intense that sometimes it hurted somewhere in the stomach. Why she never wanted more kids, she asked herself. For some reason, the thought of having more than one kid was unbearably difficult for her, as if in other life she had to take care of a bunch of kids, and this made her feel tired of them. Would she want another child fathered by Frank if they could have met early in life? This was one of the what-if questions in her life which she never would be able to answer. They met when there was a lot behind them in lives: unhappy marriages, painful divorces, graves of parents and friends, betrayals, rebuilding relations and trust with children. It took her courage to leave her settled but not so happy life to be with him. They found each other in this big world, and they had to overcome a lot. Living on different continents didn't help, but wasn't big enough obstacle to be together. It's people who are killing the relations, not distance, she read once somewhere. By the time they met, he lived through a lot, and life wasn't always kind to him. He has been tempered like a steel after being exposed to extreme temperature. Everyone knew him as very down-to-earth, straightforward, tough guy with strong opinions. And only she, Laura, knew his real self. Only she knew his tenderness and care, thick enough to be able to touch it, even on distance. She would never tell anyone, and nobody may believe her anyway, but sometimes he recites her poems before she falls asleep. "Laura," she heard him calling from the bedroom. "Why did you wake up again in this ungodly hour, crazy woman?" He said while she got back into his arms, cradled as a baby. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," he said. Then kissing her on the shoulder, he recited his great namesake, Petrach. "And my heart struggles with convulsive sighs, when, Laura, upon you I turn my eyes, for whom the world's allurement I disdain." She never read Petrarch sonnets, but somehow she knew these lines by heart.
I don't conceal my soul behind my dress. Yes, I'm armed, but I gild not the lily. I thought my silent verse was healing, but why I feel so timid and distressed? The utmost truth is hidden in the paintings, lit gently by the trembling candlelight. The sainted know not what's wrong or right, unless it is ordained by the Creator. My Avignon is dropping off to sleep. The Côte d'Azur is crying, hurt by surfing waves. Through fascinating dream, I hear thy voice. Thy quiet velvet baritone is so deep. Its captivating sound makes me brave, allowing my passion and demure to rejoice. Thy eyes will catch the hope in mine. I shield it from the jealous glances. It's just a weight of bitter circumstances that we're apart. But yet, my heart is thine. The stars are no longer sparkling on the sky. The vault of heaven has already tarnished. The beaming sun in Provence will be banished. The streets of Avignon in snow will lie. But long-awaited spring will soon return. The rays of sun will grid the gleaming lines. Our names on the skyline will be glowing. A soul, not prone to changes, can discern the flow of time. But yet it strives to see the willow budding, growing. You have unlocked thy soul with keys of love. Thy inmost verse to me you have confided. These blissful sounds never will be silent. I send my muted prayers to the Lord above. Since I can hear thee, I won't despair. I'll keep the treasure of thy lyric art. I'll take the sorrow from my troubled heart and let it vanish into the midnight air. In every dream I read thy dulcet verse that has the sense of vernal Avignon. It will remain my well-kept secret ever. The poesy of love will never be dispersed, nor from the faithful hearts it will be gone, made shielded by our love to life forever. O prisoner, the captive of the wondrous muse, you fill the paper with the verse that flutters, the words of reverence the heavens utter when hearing the rhymes that you produce. Thy verse divine vibrates my loving heart. It flutters like the wings of butterflies. My ardent passion I'm unable to disguise, so tempting and enticing is thy art. A scholar's wisdom and a poet's lyrics evoke ethereal and magical feelings. The merit of the flowing words is so high. Thy master poems open all my secrets. To my enamoured heart they are so appealing. If I am blind to thee, then who am I? I hear thy footsteps echoed in the church. I see thy glance, so passionate and yearning. Thou left me unprotected in the painful lurch. My heart is aching and the feelings burning. I kneel in awe before the Virgin Mary. I thank her for this precious gift, to hear the verse divine, confessionary, so magic, dainty, where charm exists. Oh, how long the prisoner I've been. I've cherished nestling in my bosom, who fluttered out to be free. To reassert my feelings I am keen. Reprove me not for my desire blithesome, for I confess my highest love to thee. I miss thee every moment, every day. I want to hear thy pleasant, songful message. For never is a melody more blessing than silver warbling of the nightingale. The sky at dawn is crimson, reddened by fire brought by God Prometheus. The scorch of wounded soul is hideous, if to believe to hoary legends. O sunder, how to push you out the door? I ask you tearfully, please desert me. The world where you intrude is so bitter. Reduce your zest and trouble me no more. My soul, exposed, is left with no lead. In it, you are persona non gradita. Oh, mirrors, how many mysteries you store. Your crystal clear glass like bottomless abyss. The falsehood and deception you dismiss, denuding real gist concealed before. To what expanse do singing larks ascend, when looking at the mirrors, flying high? I am one of them. There's no point to hide. since even sun in front of mirror bends. O mirrors, you reflect the whole world. You beckon me, but you repulse at times. I so often fear your impetuous force. And yet, 2 stars I see above, unfurled. So passionate and lucent is their light. To its unearthly beauty, I devote my verse.
Thank you. Now it's my turn to speak. Thank you to all of you for coming tonight, for spending your time with us. Thank you, Leyla. Thank you, Denis. I hope that we have inspired you to read this book. As Neil mentioned, it consists of 3 works, Laura's 15 letters to Petrach, a wreath of sonnets, Seasons of Love, and Play Immolativo. It has been published in Prague in small circulation, and if you want to buy it, so please feel free to do that. And now I'm going to read one sonnet from my recent work, Wreath of Sonnets, Weeping for Karabakh. And this particular sonnet is dedicated to refugees. Tomorrow, as you probably know, is International Day of Refugees. And our country, in Azerbaijan, we have over than 1 million people, internally displaced and people and refugees from Armenia and Karabakh. It's also translated by Gulnara Hall. Vultures pecking the bones of the dead. On your meadows the grass is vile, and your golden mustangs exiled, seeking refuge in rocky beds. Barefooted the people were fleeing through the mountain snowy passes. Mortar shells turned alive into ashes, and the earth, twisted, tortured, was screaming. Karabakh, my beloved, you are bleeding. Half alive is your body, half dead. You are wrapped in no carpets, no shrouds. Your inglorious fame is weeping. Brutal beasts stomped upon your bread. Bitter tears are sown in your ground. So thank you very much. I think that we will ask some questions. If you have any questions, please.
Like some explanations needed or something.
Yeah, feel free to ask.
I wonder if it would be possible maybe to read one sonnet in your native language.
In Russian?
Is it your original language Azerbaijan?
My original language is Azerbaijan, but I write in Russian.
Yeah.
Because you know that Azerbaijan was a part of Soviet Union, and I studied Russian. So.
That would be lovely. Yeah, I guess just to hear the music.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that. 1 moment. First letter. Не под фатой скрываю позолоту, и не под лифом прячется душа. В моих стихах глаголит тишина, прислушиваясь к ней, и тают годы. Не обнажают истину полотна, под ними свечи чувственно дрожат. Дилемму и святые не решат Творцу Вселенной, коли не угодно. С надеждой засыпает авиньон, лазурный берег от прибоя плачет. Я слышу голос ваш сквозь чудный сон. Вслух умиляет тихий баритон, срывая с уст любимых вами стон. И все уже мне видится иначе. 5-е письмо. Зима в пути, и чайки вдруг умолкли. Продрог лазурный берег, дует ветер, и песнь волны с мистралем, как дуэт, хрустальным эхом тянется далеким. Вплетаю ваши золотые строки узором новым, выходной барбет. Мне муза шепчет, напиши ответ, и вот мое письмо уж на пороге. Я так скучаю, помню каждый взгляд, тяну к вам руки, чтоб согреть ладони. Замерзли под дыханием ноября. Стихи под сердцем, спрятавшись, болят, и новых рифм сочится в жилый яд, и осень, увядая, тихо стонет.
Any more questions?
Can I ask, you said that you wrote these poems in response to Petrach's sonnets. I mean, was it a coincidence you come across that, or what inspired you to write those?
I just did to suggest that this love, Petrach's love, wasn't unrequited, but rather hopeless. And because, you know, Laura was faithful wife, she was mother of 11 children. Yeah, and therefore it just was my mind. Yeah.
So
I decided to respond.
Was it like an inspiration?
But you felt some closeness.
Yeah.
Where did it actually begin? What triggers your emotional relationship with the work of Petrach?
It's one of my favorite poets, to be honest, Petrach, and of course Petrach inspired me to answer him. Yeah. So
you learned that when you were young, when you were at college, at some particular time in life?
No, it was just 3-4 years ago.
Something I noticed about Petrach's relationship to Laura, it happened at the time when the moon was eclipsing the sun. And it's an interval that creates alarm within the creatures of the earth because they can't see without the sunlight. So it shocks them, but it affects people emotionally. And I'm thinking about that now. But it's a curious kind of coincidence when someone is aware of something like that, and it's on Good Friday as well, so it's a religious occasion. And then it triggers a whole stream of events. And even if she was married, you know, to write her 300 sonnets, where was her husband? He must have had his sword out for the occasion, you know. But obviously it triggers lots of associations for you to read. Tell us something about particular associations you get from.
You know, also Petrach, sometimes he lived in Prague, Celetna Street. Okay. So, and when I visited this part of Prague, I started to think about this, about his sonnets, about the love story, and about he wrote 300 sonnets. Amazing. It's impossible. Amazing, just.
And I think you mentioned before in one of our conversations that you believed that his sonnets were not. She responded to him. Yeah. It's just not saved in the history, and yeah. so Leyla's version is that. So his love was, I mean, it was reciprocal, yeah. And she has written the sonnets to him, but just history didn't keep them. And you mentioned, I mean, I know this from Leyla, yeah. So she mentioned that at her grave they found some box with letters, and nobody knows in details whether this was exactly her grave, what kind of letters this were. So this all kind of shaped her fantasy that, you know, she really replied to him.
Fantasy,
yeah.
And may I just associate to that? Petrach's grave was found to have no skull. His head had been removed. Shakespeare's grave was found to have his head removed. someone is doing something with heads of our favourite artists, poets, and it's very curious because the gentleman with the skull under his arm, which is a reference to one's death, is highly significant in verse and theatre, and yet it's something that people want. So what happened, has anyone found out what exactly happened to Petrach's head, or is it still under investigation? Do you know?
No.
Eternal mystery. I'm sure that will never be resolved. So she wrote 300 sonnets, and you only written 50. So you only written
only
15. So you've got another
I think that's
285 to go. Good luck.
She wasn't a poet, but she was a member of literature society, like Avenue. I don't remember the name of society.
In what language did you read Petrach's poetry?
In Russian, in translation, of course.
I just want to share one more story which Leyla shared about the pictures, illustration in this book.
Yeah.
Actually, if I may, Leyla, so she was thinking about what to put in the book as illustration, and it wasn't easy, so she was trying to think what will be, relevant. And then someone just, told her that there is Azerbaijani artist who had a series of paintings about Laura and Petrach. And this was so amazing because he's like 70-plus-year-old, and she met with him and she got these paintings. But I mean, it's some mystery in that while she was looking for the paintings, someone just mentioned this to her.
Well, maybe we can do an exhibition in London of his work.
Yeah, he's a very famous artist.
Okay.
He's our national artist, Arif Hussein of people, he's 70.
Well, then that'd be appropriate for you to do some readings at the same time.
Yeah,
that was really nice.
Can you arrange that?
Yeah, we will do that.
Yeah. And what about the image on the front of the... Is it
the image, it's also by Azerbaijani artist. It's my portrait.
That's I see you there. That's was it accidentally that are you saying?
Elmir Hussein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
How many artists in Russia and Azerbaijan and local satellite countries were influenced by Petrach? How many of them pursued?
Not many. This is why it's so surprising that she found the one.
Really? And Russia has some really famous writers.
I know, but I think that first time.
But he had such a profound influence on the Renaissance period and then later on Shakespeare. So he actually kick-started a huge momentum.
And Shakespeare inspired me to write the play Immolatia in a verse form.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's dedicated to two great philosophers, enlighteners. They born in the same year, in 1369, in different worlds, in different civilizations, but they had their identical ideas, views, and even tragic fate. It's amazing. It's also like Mr. Sir. It's beyond it.
Right, I'll just ask one question if I may.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about poetry in translation? Obviously you write in Russian, you get it translated into English. I know my translation does work.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, I think that the music is the same. Yes?
Yes.
It depends, of course, on quality of translation. Some of the translations there sound so great. There was famous Russian poet, Marshak, and he translated Shakespeare. If you hear this in Russian, you will fall in love with it as, separate from Shakespeare. Shakespeare was, of course,